So what I wanted to talk about today is how to mix metal guitars. Today we are going to work on mixing guitar. So I recorded a simple guitar kind of metal track and we're going to mix it. So what I have here is I have a right ear instrument, I have a lead part, I have a left ear instrument, I have bass, and I have drums. I haven't touched the guitars with anything, so they have no amps, they have no EQ or compression. So right now it kind of just sounds like a surf rock song since it's metal based. So I'm going to play just a little snippet of it to give you like an idea of what we're going to be working with. So clearly the first thing that I need to do on this is actually put amplifiers onto all these guitars. So I need to do that really quick. I have Guitar Rig, so I'm just going to use that. And I'm just going to do mono versions for each of the instruments. So I got one there. Let's make another. Now we have instruments for everybody. So what I'm going to start is just getting a sound out of it. So what do we got right now? I'm gonna loop this section right here. It's already a little bit better, but I'm assuming we probably got closer to like a more metal kind of sound. Sugar cream. Sounds pretty good to me. A little bit more of that low end, a little bit more mid, a little less treble. I think just listening to that, what I need before that amplifier is a little bit of an overdrive. So I'm gonna put another Guitar Rig on it, but this time I'm gonna do a stomp box on it. So I'm just gonna put a 2-channel stomp box on this thing, run it into a tiny bit of an overdrive. So we're gonna put that on, where is it? So we got a simple tube screamer here. We're just gonna hear how that sounds. Gives it that little bit of drive that we want. So I'm going to copy these settings to the other instruments here. And now my right and my left ear have that currently. So the next thing I need to do on these guitars is I like to do compression before I do any EQ or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is run everything through an LA2A. It's probably a little bit too loud, so I'm going to bump that down and try that. And I'm going to look for a fine balance of it lowering in volume just a little bit and leveling a little bit more. It's going to be decently level because it's pretty distorted at this point though. Sounds pretty good to me. So I'm going to also copy that to the other one. It's going to be the same settings for this. So next thing I need to do is a little bit of shaping on it. I think I'm just going to do an EQ10 on this. So I don't need any of the irrationally low end. I got a bass for that. And when I listen to it, I got a little harshness in the high end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these higher frequencies and increase the Q a lot and find that frequency I'm hearing. And so you can sweep through those and find that loud, high-pitched frequency I'm hearing. And it's right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut that. without. It's a little bit different, so not too much of one. I'm also going to shelf the 500 and above just a little bit, just to get a little bit more mid in there. And then I'm also going to bring down the highs a little bit, so I'm going to shelf that as well. I'm also going to bring down a little bit of the highs. That sounds pretty decent to me. So the fine line on doing guitars like this, especially metal, is to not actually add nearly as much distortion as you think. Because once I bring in all of the elements together, it's going to sound a lot dirtier than it actually is. So if I were to play this with the rhythm guitar and have both of these, it's going to sound a lot heavier. But before I play that, what I need to do first is I need to hard pan these. So this is the left ear and this is the right ear one. So what I'm going to do is open up my mixer and I'm going to pan this hard left all the way over, and I'm going to pan this one hard right all the way over. What this does is it gives it movement left and right. That's really pleasant on a guitar of any kind, like whether that be rock, hip hop, country. Doing this hard panning really adds an extra layer to it. So it's going to start, in this case, with it all in the left ear, and it's going to bring it entirely. And you're going to hear how that sounds a little bit better. And that sounds a lot, it sounds a lot more like what you would want a guitar to actually sound like. So the next thing that I'm going to do, now that I have all these set up, is I'm going to make a return for all the rhythm guitars. So I'm going to make a stereo guitar return. And I'm going to send all of the guitars, all of the rhythm guitars to that. So I'm going to send this out of bus 1, this also out of bus 1, and then I'm going to make the input of this bus 1. So now that the guitars are just being sent to that, so let me play this section. Now what I can do is general attacks the entire thing overall. So what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to limit it a little bit, compress it a little bit more, give it a little more harshness. I think that sounds a little bit better. It's a little heavy. So I'm going to blend this in. So I still don't have this playing yet, but I'm going to play with the bass and drums. I think I need to change my guitar patch though. I don't think that's quite as dirty as I want it. That sounds better. Alright, now that I got it a little bit heavier and I got a little bit better of a balance going on here, I'm not drowning the other instruments out with the guitar. I'm running pretty heavy into the master though, so I'm going to turn all these down a little bit. Put that back up to 0. I do have a limiter on the master, so I'm not worried about clipping here. That's a pretty solid wall of sound if you ask me. So the next thing I'm going to do is the same sort of thing for this lead guitar. It's going to be a little bit more specific because I want a specific sound for this. But we got a safe spot, actual amp sound like we did with the others. So I'm going to assume it's probably either in the high gain or the drive that we're going to need. Whatever amp sim you're using, just go with what you think. So I'm going to start with maybe Crush, see how that sounds. So I'm going to solo this. Actually, yeah, that's pretty close to what I was picturing here. So I'm going to bring up the presence a little bit. I want a little bit high treble. This is going to be a thing that really cuts through. So it's not going to need really any of this bass. It's going to need mostly mid and treble. That sounds pretty clean to me. I'm not going to run an overdrive into this. I think it's plenty heavy enough. And you can hear that it sounds pretty mono too. I didn't double that, so I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm just going to leave that as is. In the texture with it all and having the hard pan other guitars, the left and the right one, it's going to sound a lot thicker than it actually is. So the next thing I'm going to do on this is make sure it's actually heard at every point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to again do another LA2A on that. There you go, just touching a little bit. Next thing I need to do is EQ a little bit. I'm going to cut out all of those really, really low frequencies that we can't really hear. Just because we're not going to use them at all on this. I don't need any of them. Plus I'm wearing headphones right now, so I actually couldn't honestly tell you if there were any. So I'm going to play this again. I think it needs a little bit more of the mid in here. Sounds pretty good on the high end though, but I'm going to increase the Q a little bit less. Increase the Q a little bit so I have not as wide, but I'm going to bring up probably around the 5 to the 1K here. Just a little bit. You can hear a little bit of that, more of that hand noise. That sounds good because it sounds like there's some sort of like melodic like tempo thing, which there is, but I just want to bring that out a little bit more. So I'm going to play this all in the texture right now. Overall, that sounds pretty close if you ask me. I did forget to add a little bit of bass at the end, so before I post that, I'm going to add that in. The final thing that we need to do is actually put a reverb on it. It sounds really, really dry right now, and it's not my favorite sound in the world. So I have my favorite plugin, which is an Abbey Road plate reverb. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to make this a bus. So what I'm going to do is make this bus 2324. And send this guitar return right here out of bus 2324 into the plate. I'm just going to use presets for now, so we're just going to stick with that. And then I'm also going to send this lead guitar through it as well. So we're going to do just a little sample of it, get an idea of like what it sounds like overall. what I like to do when I'm finding reverb is to bring it up where it's a little bit too much, bring it down wherever I'm comfortable to, and then just bring it down 1 or 2 dBs after that. Because when you switch to different like music sources, like speakers or car or headphones, there's always one of them where you hear like a little bit too much of it. If I'm playing this over my lead speakers in my bedroom, like the reverb probably sounds great, but in my headphones here, it probably is a little too strong. So it's going to be important that I kind of like try to stay away from that fine point, because it's going to be really annoying in the future. There's too much. There's where I like it. So I'm going to bring it down a little bit. And you can hardly tell it's there. It just kind of is like a texture thing, just to glue it together just a little bit. So I'm going to do the same thing on the lead guitar here. So I'm going to mute the other guitars. And honestly, that's pretty close to where I want it. So first need to make that stereo. So what I'm going to do is same thing, just get it to a little bit too much and then bring it down. That's where I like it. Sounds pretty dry overall, but it's really not. It just is the glue that binds it together. Alright, I think for now, we are done. So I'm going to give it a play. Alright, now that I got the bass part looped over, I'm going to play from the beginning. I want to thank everybody for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.